There are rules, not the ones they teach you in school, not the ones written in self-help books, not the ones your parents repeated until they became white noise. I'm talking about ancient protocols, rules that have been buried, forgotten, sometimes deliberately hidden because they work too well, because they make you dangerous, because once you understand them, you can't be controlled anymore. These aren't moral guidelines. These aren't suggestions for being a good person. These are operational encodes for navigating a world that will devour you if you don't know how it actually works. And if you've ever felt like you're playing a game where everyone else knows the rules except you, that ends today. Because what I'm about to show you are the forgotten protocols, the ancient rules that make you untouchable. And once you learn them, you'll never move through the world the same way again. Let's start with the first rule, the one that changes everything. Never reveal your full capabilities. You've been taught to showcase your talents, to demonstrate your skills, to prove your worth at every opportunity. But this is a trap, because the moment people know what you're capable of, they know your limits. They know how to measure you, how to compete with you, how to surpass you. The ancients understood this deeply. They knew that mystery is power, that the unknown is feared more than the known. So they moved through the world revealing only fractions of themselves. They showed competence, yes, but never mastery. They demonstrated ability, but never their full range. Why? Because when people underestimate you, they lower their guard. When they don't know your ceiling, they can't prepare defenses. When your capabilities remain partially hidden, you maintain permanent tactical advantage. This doesn't mean you hide your light. It means you control how much light you reveal and when. It means you become strategic with your demonstrations of power. You show enough to be taken seriously, never enough to be fully measured. And this creates a psychological edge that compounds over time. People who reveal everything become predictable. People who reveal strategically become formidable. The second ancient rule, never correct those who underestimate you. This goes hand in hand with the first, but it cuts deeper, because your natural instinct when someone underestimates you is to prove them wrong, to show them what you're really made of, to demonstrate that they miscalculated. But this is emotional reaction, not strategic thinking. The ancients knew something crucial. Being underestimated is a gift. It's camouflage. It's the ultimate disguise in a world obsessed with measuring everyone. When someone underestimates you, they're handing you an advantage. They're relaxing their defenses. They're giving you room to maneuver without surveillance. And if you're smart, if you understand the protocol, you don't correct this. You let them believe their assessment. You might even reinforce it subtly. You let them think they're superior, smarter, more capable. And while they're comfortable in their miscalculation, you're operating at a level they can't see. You're building, learning, positioning yourself. And by the time they realize their error, you've already won. The game was over before they knew it started. Never correct those who underestimate you. Let their blindness be your advantage. The third rule is perhaps the most difficult for modern people to accept. Trust no one completely. You've been conditioned to believe that trust is the foundation of relationships, that vulnerability is strength, that opening yourself fully to others is how you build genuine connections. And while there's truth to emotional intimacy, the ancients operated with a different code. They understood that human beings are fundamentally self-interested, that loyalty shifts with circumstance, that today's ally can become tomorrow's adversary when incentives change. So they practiced selective trust. They trusted people with specific things, never with everything. They created compartments. They never put themselves in a position where one person's betrayal could destroy them completely. This isn't cynicism, it's structural security. It's understanding that trust is a tool, not an absolute. You can have deep relationships, meaningful connections, genuine affection for people, while still maintaining strategic boundaries. The ancients didn't trust no one. They trusted selectively, proportionally, and always with awareness that circumstances change and people change with them. This keeps you protected. This keeps you sovereign. This keeps you untouchable, even when betrayal comes. And it will come because you never gave anyone enough access to destroy you completely. The fourth protocol: accumulate resources in silence. Every ancient tradition emphasizes this in different ways. Don't count your money in public. Don't announce your harvest before it's stored. Don't reveal your reserves to those who might need them. Why? Because when people know what you have, they feel entitled to it. They begin calculating how they can access it. They start developing expectations. And suddenly, your resources aren't fully yours anymore. They're partially claimed by the awareness others have of them. The forgotten protocol is simple. Build your reserves quietly. Accumulate your wealth, your knowledge, your connections, your skills, without broadcasting the accumulation. Let people see the results when it serves your purpose, never the process of building. This protects you in multiple ways. It prevents jealousy from forming before you're strong enough to withstand it. It prevents dependency from others who would drain your resources if they knew they existed. It prevents you from becoming a target. Because in this world, visible abundance attracts predators. Hidden abundance creates options. The ancients knew this. They built their strength in darkness and revealed it only in moments of strategic advantage, not for approval, not for recognition, but for effect. The fifth rule will challenge everything modern culture tells you. Emotional displays are tactical errors. You've been taught that expressing your emotions is healthy, that showing how you feel is authentic, that emotional transparency is a virtue. But the ancients saw emotions differently, not as things to suppress, but as information to control. They understood that every emotional display is intelligence you're giving to others. When you show anger, you reveal what threatens you. When you show fear, you reveal what controls you. When you show joy, you reveal what can be taken from you. When you show pain, you reveal where you're vulnerable. And once others have this information, they can use it. Not always maliciously, but they can use it nonetheless. The forgotten protocol isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming selective. With emotional displays, you feel everything, you process everything internally, but you show only what serves your strategic position. You reveal joy when it builds alliances. You reveal anger when it establishes boundaries. You reveal vulnerability when it creates specific outcomes. But you never simply leak emotions reactively, because reactive emotional displays put you at the mercy of whoever triggered them. And the ancients refused to give anyone that power. They felt deeply, but they displayed strategically, and this made them impossible to manipulate through emotional triggers. This is how you become untouchable psychologically, not by having no emotions, but by controlling which emotions others get to see and when. The sixth protocol is brutal in its simplicity. Create no permanent enemies, but remember every slight. Modern culture pushes two extremes. Either you're supposed to forgive and forget everything, becoming a doormat for repeated transgressions, or you're supposed to burn bridges and declare eternal enmity. The ancient way is neither. It's more sophisticated, more patient, more effective. When someone wrongs you, you don't react immediately. You don't declare war. You don't burn the relationship publicly. You simply file the information. You remember the transgression with perfect clarity. You update your assessment of that person's character and reliability. You adjust your future dealings with them accordingly. But you don't create a permanent enemy, because permanent enemies limit your options. Today's enemy might be tomorrow's useful ally when circumstances shift. The person who wronged you might have resources you need later. The relationship that soured might need to appear functional for strategic reasons. So you don't close doors permanently. You just remember which doors have locks that don't work, which rooms aren't safe, which people showed you who they really are when they thought it didn't matter. and you never forget this. Information. You don't seek revenge in the moment. You simply never trust them again at the same level. You never make yourself vulnerable to them again in the same way. And if the opportunity for correction arises naturally, years later, when it serves your interests and costs you nothing, then you might take it, or you might not. Because by then, you've built something so far beyond them that their slight has become irrelevant. This is the ancient way. Long memory, strategic patience, no permanent declarations of enmity that limit your future moves. The seventh rule is one that modern society actively tries to make you forget. Your time is not equally valuable to everyone. You've been taught that everyone deserves your attention, your help, your energy. That saying no is selfish, that you should be available, responsive, generous with your time to anyone who asks. But the ancients operated on a different principle. They understood that time is the only truly non-renewable resource, that every moment spent is gone forever, that how you allocate your time determines the architecture of your life. So they were ruthless gatekeepers of their time. They didn't give it freely. They didn't distribute it equally. They allocated it strategically based on who and what would compound in value. They spent time with people who elevated them, educated them, or contributed to their mission. They spent time on activities that built skills, resources, or strategic positions. And they refused, without guilt or explanation, to spend time on everything else. This seems harsh through a modern lens. But the ancients weren't trying to be nice. They were trying to be effective. They were trying to build something that lasted. And they knew that if you give your time to everyone, you build nothing significant. Your time fragments across 1,000 small commitments, and at the end, you've been everywhere and built nowhere. The forgotten protocol is simple. Guard your time like it's your life, because it is. Allocate it consciously. Say no to most things so you can say yes completely to the few things that matter. And never feel guilty about this, because the people who demand your time without contributing equivalent value are operating on the exact same principle. They're maximizing their interests. You're just doing it more honestly. The eighth protocol cuts to the heart of power dynamics. Never explain yourself to those who don't have authority over you. You've been conditioned to justify your decisions, to explain your reasoning, to make others comfortable with your choices. And every time you do this, you're participating in a subtle form of subordination, because explanation implies that the other person has the right to judge your decision, that their understanding is required for your choice to be valid, that their approval matters. But the ancients recognized something crucial. Most people have no authority over you. They have no legitimate claim to understanding your decisions. They're not affected by your choices except through their own reactions. So why are you explaining yourself to them? The forgotten protocol is this. Explain yourself only to those who have genuine authority, responsibility, or stake in your decision. To everyone else, your choice is simply information they need to accept. You don't justify it. You don't defend it. You don't make it comfortable for them. You simply state it and move on. This is what I'm doing. Not this is what I'm doing and here's why, and I hope you understand and please approve. Just this is what I'm doing. Period. This creates an immediate shift in dynamics. People can accept it or not, but they quickly learn that your decisions aren't up for committee vote, that you're not seeking consensus, that you're sovereign, and this sovereignty, this refusal to explain yourself to those without authority, is what makes you untouchable, because you've removed yourself from the court of public opinion. You've stopped seeking permission from people who have no right to grant it. You've reclaimed your autonomy, and people feel this shift. They might not like it, but they respect it, because it signals that you operate on a different level, that you've remembered a protocol they've forgotten. The ninth rule is the foundation of all strategic thinking. Always have a hidden exit. The ancients never entered any situation relationship, partnership, or commitment without first identifying how they would leave if necessary. This wasn't pessimism, this was wisdom, because circumstances change, people change. Arrangements that made sense yesterday become traps today. And if you don't have an exit planned before you need it, you'll make desperate decisions when pressure arrives. The forgotten protocol is simple. Before you enter, know how you'll leave. Before you commit resources, know how you'll recover them if the situation deteriorates. Before you trust someone with sensitive information, know how you'll contain the damage if they betray you. Before you become dependent on any single income source, relationship, or opportunity, build the alternative that allows you to walk away. This isn't about being paranoid, it's about maintaining sovereignty. Because when you have no exit, you're not choosing to stay, you're trapped. And trapped, people make compromised decisions. They tolerate disrespect they shouldn't tolerate. They accept terms they shouldn't accept. They sacrifice principles they shouldn't sacrifice, all because they can't leave. The person with a hidden exit is never trapped. They might choose to stay, might choose to work through difficulties, might choose to honor commitments, but it's a choice, not a necessity. And this changes everything about how they move through the world. They negotiate from strength because they can walk away. They maintain boundaries because they're not dependent. They remain sovereign because they're never cornered. Always have a hidden exit in every situation. This single protocol has saved more lives, preserved more wealth, and maintained more dignity than almost any other ancient rule. Never forget it. The 10th protocol is perhaps the most psychologically powerful. Become comfortable with being misunderstood. Modern culture is obsessed with being understood, with making sure everyone knows your intentions, your reasoning, your heart. And this obsession creates vulnerability, because when you need to be understood, you need something from others. You need their validation, their approval, their correct interpretation of you. And this need gives them power. The ancients walked a different path. They understood that being misunderstood was not only inevitable but often advantageous. When people misunderstand you, they make incorrect predictions about your behavior. They prepare for the wrong things. They defend against threats you're not actually posing, while leaving themselves open to your real moves. Being misunderstood creates confusion in your opponents and space for you to maneuver. So the forgotten protocol isn't to make everyone understand you. It's to become so comfortable with being misunderstood that you can use it strategically. You let people believe incorrect things about your motivations. You let them attribute your success to the wrong factors. You let them misread your silence as whatever they need to misread it as. And you never correct them unless correction serves your purpose. This is deeply uncomfortable for most people because humans have a deep need to be seen accurately. But the ancients trained themselves past this need. They built their identity internally, not through external reflection. And once you do this, once you stop needing others to understand you, you become untouchable psychologically. Because they can't hurt you with their misunderstanding. They can't control you with their misinterpretation. You're free to move as you actually are, not as they think you are. And this freedom is power. Now let's talk about the 11th rule, one that modern society has almost completely inverted. Never reveal your next move. You've been encouraged to share your goals, announce your plans, declare your intentions, to create accountability through public commitment, to invite support by showing people what you're working toward. And while there's some value in selective sharing, the ancient protocol is far more cautious. Because every time you reveal your next move, you give others the opportunity to interfere, to compete, to sabotage, to appropriate your idea, to get there first, or simply to form opinions and expectations that constrain how you execute. The forgotten protocol is simple. Move in silence, plan in private, execute without announcement. Let your results be the first news of your activity. This doesn't mean you never collaborate or never seek help. It means you're selective about what you reveal and to whom. You share information on a need-to-know basis. You keep your full strategy to yourself. You let people see pieces, never the whole picture. Why? Because the complete picture is your advantage. It's the thing that makes your approach unique, your execution powerful, your results different from what others achieve. And if you give away the complete picture before execution, you've surrendered your advantage. You've allowed others to prepare counters. You've invited competition before you've established position. The ancients would say, execute in silence, reveal in triumph. Do the work invisibly, show the results undeniably, and never ever telegraph your punches before they land. The 12th protocol is about resource management at the deepest level. Live below your visible means. The ancients across virtually every culture practiced this. They understood that visible wealth attracts attention, expectation, and eventual targeting. So even when they had abundance, they displayed modesty. They kept their true resources hidden. They lived in a way that didn't advertise their full capability. This served multiple purposes. First, it prevented jealousy and resentment from accumulating. Second, it kept them off the radar of those who extract resources from the visible wealthy through taxes, theft, or manipulation. Third, it allowed them to be underestimated, which, as we've discussed, is a tactical advantage. Fourth, it preserved their resources for actual use rather than display. The forgotten protocol isn't about being poor or pretending poverty. It's about creating a gap between your actual resources and your visible lifestyle. You might have 10, but you live like you have 7. This gap is your security buffer, your hidden reserve, your emergency capability that no one knows exists. And when crisis comes, when opportunity appears, when you need to make a move that requires resources, you have them available without having to scramble or explain where they came from. You simply handle it. And people are surprised because they thought you were operating at your limit. But you weren't. You were operating below your capability by design. This is ancient wisdom that modern culture of display and flex has completely abandoned. And those who abandon it make themselves vulnerable in ways they don't understand until it's too late. The 13th rule deals with information asymmetry. Ask more questions than you answer. The ancients understood that information flows in the direction of questions. The person asking questions is gathering intelligence. The person answering is giving it away. So they trained themselves to be question askers, not question answerers. They would redirect, deflect, and turn conversations back on the other person. They would show interest in others not just out of politeness, but as the intelligence-gathering operation. And they would volunteer very little about themselves unless it served a specific purpose. The forgotten protocol is this: in any interaction, aim to leave knowing more about the other person than they know about you. This doesn't mean being cold or withholding. It means being strategic with disclosure. You can be warm, engaging, personable, while still maintaining information asymmetry. You ask about their work, their challenges, their goals. You listen carefully. You remember details. And when they ask about you, you give surface-level responses that sound substantive but actually reveal little. You redirect back to them. You make them feel heard and important, which most people crave so desperately that they don't notice you're not actually sharing equivalent information. And over time, this creates a massive intelligence advantage. You know people's vulnerabilities, motivations, resources, and intentions. They know very little about yours. And this asymmetry is power. Because you can predict them. You can influence them. You can avoid their attacks and maximize your synergies with them, all because you asked more than you answered. The 14th protocol is one of the most important for maintaining psychological sovereignty. Never apologize for your standards. You will have standards for how you're treated, for the quality of work you accept, for the behavior you tolerate, for the relationships you maintain. And modern culture will constantly pressure you to lower these standards, to be more accepting, more flexible, more understanding, to accommodate people who don't meet your standards in the name of kindness or inclusion. But the ancients held a different position. They believed that standards exist for a reason, that they protect you, that they filter out incompatible energies before they can cause damage, and they never apologized for maintaining them. The forgotten protocol is this: set your standards consciously, then enforce them without guilt or explanation. When someone doesn't meet your standard, you don't argue about whether the standard is fair. You don't justify why you have it. You don't lower it to make them comfortable. You simply enforce it. This is my standard. You don't meet it. Therefore, this isn't going to work. Not cruel, not emotional, just factual, and you walk away without apology. This makes you untouchable because you can't be guilted into accepting less than you require. You can't be manipulated through shame into lowering your boundaries. You've decided what you need, what you accept, what you tolerate, and you enforce those decisions consistently. People might call you difficult, demanding, unreasonable. Let them. The ancients would say, better to be alone with high standards than surrounded by people who don't meet them. Because low standards don't bring connection, they bring complications. They bring people who drain you, use you, disrespect you. High standards might mean fewer relationships, but those relationships will be exponentially more valuable, and you'll be untouchable, because you've surrounded yourself only with those who enhance your life rather than complicate it. The 15th and final protocol I'll share with you today is perhaps the most powerful. Build your life so you need nothing from anyone. This is the ultimate goal of all ancient wisdom traditions. Financial independence, emotional sovereignty, psychological self-sufficiency, spiritual wholeness. The ability to walk through life without requiring validation, resources, approval, or support from any specific person or institution. Now, this doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean never accepting help or never forming partnerships. It means structuring your life so that help and partnership are choices, not necessities, so that you engage with others from a position of wholeness, not need. The forgotten protocol is this: systematically eliminate dependencies. Every area where you need someone or something specific is a potential point of control. Every dependency is a lever someone else can pull. So you identify these dependencies one by one, and you build alternatives. You build savings so you don't need any specific job. You build skills so you don't need any specific employer. You build emotional resilience so you don't need any specific person's approval. You build multiple income streams so no single source can control you. You build internal validation so external opinions become interesting but not necessary. And slowly, over time, you construct a life where you need nothing from anyone, where you're completely free to engage or not engage, based purely on whether it serves your mission and brings you joy. This is the ultimate untouchability, because when you need nothing, no one can threaten you. When you're self-sufficient, no one can leverage you. When you're complete within yourself, no one can control you through creating or withholding what you need. This is what the ancients built toward, and this is what made them truly free. These aren't all the protocols. The ancients had hundreds of operating principles that allowed them to navigate dangerous worlds and build lasting legacies. But these 15 are core. They're the foundation, and if you implement even a handful of them, you'll notice an immediate shift in how you move through the world. You'll feel more sovereign, more protected, more in control of your own destiny, because you've remembered something that most people have forgotten, that there are rules for power, rules for protection, rules for building an untouchable life. And those rules aren't taught in schools or broadcast in media because they work too well, because they create people who can't be controlled, manipulated, or defeated through conventional means. The ancients knew this. They lived by these protocols, and they became legends, not because they were born special, but because they remembered the rules that everyone else forgot. And now you know them too. The question is, will you use them? Will you implement these forgotten protocols? Will you become the kind of person who moves through the world untouchable, unshakable, unbreakable? Or will you forget again, slipping back into the comfortable ignorance that keeps most people controllable? The choice, as always, is yours. But now you can't say you didn't know. Now you can't claim ignorance. The protocols have been revealed. What you do with them determines everything. If you've made it this far, you're different. You're someone who recognizes ancient truth when you hear it. Someone who understands that the old ways worked because they were rooted in reality, not in the comfortable lies modern culture tells itself. And if that's you, if you felt these protocols resonate with something deep inside, then mark this moment. Comment below, I remember the ancient way, not for the algorithm, not for validation, but as a declaration to yourself that you're choosing the path of sovereignty, that you're implementing these forgotten protocols, that you're becoming untouchable. And if you want to go deeper, if you want to discover more of these ancient operating principles that modern society has deliberately obscured, then subscribe to this channel, because this is where we excavate forgotten wisdom, where we restore ancient protocols, where we remember what it means to be truly free. The old ways are calling. Will you answer?